This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
What's up, YouTube? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you with another video. And today we're going to take a good look at the Ology RDA from iHybrid Mods. Yeah, iHybrid Mods, same people that brought you the Veritas RDA. One of my favorites, most people's, one of their favorites too, at least for flavor. Everyone loves the Veritas, but I've never heard of the Ology RDA, ever. And when I did, I was like, why haven't I heard of this thing sooner? It came out in like, I want to say September or something of last year, maybe even before then, I don't really know. They came out with two of them. They came out with the Ology, the 22mm version, and they came out with the Dogbone, which is the 30mm version. Twisted 420 did a review on the 30mm version, the Dogbone, which indirectly turned me onto this thing, because after I saw that, I was like, I really want one of these things, but I don't have a 26650 mod, and maybe I can make do with it, I don't know. So I start searching around for the Dogbone, which points me at VaporDNA, and sitting right next to the Dogbone RDA is the Ology RDA. And I was like, huh, there is a 22mm version. How about that? Except I didn't really want to spend $100 on it, to be honest with you. That's how much it is at VaporDNA, it's $100. So I start searching around for clones, and there aren't any clones. So at that point, I'm like, sad face, you know? And then I managed to find one randomly, like a few weeks later, being, you know, a couple days ago at this point. I found one on the Vape Trader for $60. And I was like, yes, score! So I messaged that guy right away. I'm like, consider it sold, send it my way. And he did, and here it is. And I've had it for about a day and a half now, something like that. Maybe less, I don't know. It's awesome. And I was so confident I wasn't the only person who hadn't heard of this thing that I posted on Instagram a hand trek with it and said it was a vape challenge, named that RDA. Two comments later, this guy, CDeath1313, comes out and says he knows exactly what it is. It's the Ology RDA, and he was exactly right. So, spot on, man. Well done, sir. Well done. Well done. So, CDeath1313, he's a cool guy. Thanks for playing, and give that guy a follow. Moving on. Alright, so this guy is super unique. Super different deck. The deck design is completely different than probably anything that you've ever seen before, unless you've seen the Dogbone. Dude, but let me tell you, this guy vapes like a champ. It might just be my new favorite flavor RDA, my new favorite vertical coil RDA, it might be better than the Marquis. It might just be better than the Marquis. Let me tell you, I am enjoying this thing a lot. Yeah, so come on in here. Come on in here. Let's take a look. Come on. Let's dive in and take a look at the Ology RDA by iHybrid Mods. So this right here is the Ology RDA from iHybrid Mods. Came to me just like this in this sort of cardboard jewelry box that says the Ology. The Ology RDA from iHybrid Mods. Nothing too special about the packaging, no extra O-rings, no extra screws or anything like that, which is something that iHybrid is known for doing. They don't really include any extras in there. This is the top cap. I've got a sort of a Derringer style drip tip in there. Yeah, you don't have too much on the outside here. All you've got are your two airflow slots. That's it. That's it. There's no engravings, no Veritas anagram across one of the sides or anything like that. And on the inside, the only gripe that I can really give you about the machining is right around the airflow holes. There's definitely a lot of scraping of the top cap in there, and over here too. You can see light reflects. There's definitely a lot of scraping around those air holes. But other than that, I haven't had any problems with it. There's no issues with machining or anything else. And here's the deck. Pretty unique. Not a whole lot out there like that. The only other thing I can think of is the Dogbone, which is sort of the 26650 30mm version of this RDA. And it has sort of the same sort of makeup of it. The reason I think it's called the Dogbone is that sort of shape you get right there from the dividing well, the well divider or whatever. Why they didn't just call this one the Dogbone or the dog treat or whatever, I have no idea. No idea, but it's the same look to it, absolutely. One really cool feature of this RDA is with that split wall in there, it basically separates the well out into two separate wells. So you can put two completely different juices in there and they won't mix. But you get two different vapors and, on one RDA, and the juices aren't mixing, but you're still getting two different e-juices, two different vapors, and it's really cool. So what I've been mixing it with, well, not mixing it, like I said, not mixing it. These are separate because of the wall thing. Royalty Elixirs, the Duchess, and Nectar by Mercury. I've got Nectar by Mercury on the button side. I've got the Duchess on the screen side. It's got no markings on the RDA, so that's the only way that I remember it. That cap, buttery smooth. Buttery. It just pops right in there. No problem, no resistance. Tolerances on the O-rings are perfect, and yeah, it's solid. It's solid. Yeah, those two juices together, magical. 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 Take it to another level, if you ask me. If you're fans of either of those juices, try that. Mixing them. Yes, yes, yes. Whether you mix the juices together or whether you try them like that in something like the Dogbone or the Ology, or there are a few other RDAs that have the split well. If you have one of those, try them there. Up here is your positive block. Post holes are pretty tiny. I can get 24 gauge in there, no problem. Higher than that, I don't know if I'd have any issues. Down here are the negative posts, here and here. Airflow on this guy is pretty interesting, guys. Airflow comes in the sides, here and here, travels through this block, travels through the Dogbone, I guess, and hits these two airflow holes that are right behind the coil. So the coil is getting hit from air from behind, kind of like the Veritas. Pretty cool design. I love it. Waffles took one look at this deck and says, "That looks like a robot." And I was like, no, it doesn't. And then now I'm holding it in my hand. Yes, it totally does. It totally looks like a robot. But not just any robot, guys. Not just any robot. This thing looks exactly like Rosie from the Jetsons. Yeah, that is Rosie from the Jetsons right there, if you ask me. Anyone else see it? I see it. Now I can't unsee it, if you're like me. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's Rosie. Anyway, so I'm going to tear out my build, and we're going to build it right now. So one thing I will say, not so much, just for anything, this little block here will spin, But it's only spun for me when I've torn out my builds. I built it a couple times already, just experimenting a little bit. And yeah, so it'll spin when you yank out your build, but other than that, it'll stay straight. And I haven't really had any issues with it. So once I tear out the build, I straighten it out, and then it's never a problem again. So we're kind of making this into an L. It's kind of like a 7 3/4 wrap, I guess. We want to go ahead and torch it as well, because once it's in there, it's not that easy to get in there and tinker with the coil and bend it. If you ask me, not the easiest thing to do with this particular RDA. Slip that screwdriver back in there. And we're going to bend a little bit of Kanthal while we're at it too. It's kind of like that. And then about here, I'd say. About there in the tweezers. Just kind of eyeball it. Bend again. So when all is said and done, it kind of looks like this. Oh, and by the way, something cool about the deck I forgot to mention. Remember the Marquis has those two sort of bits down at the bottom where you can sort of shove those building tools, those two little divots. This guy has divots too, but they're made just for like a Phillips head screwdriver, and they fit perfectly. It's pretty cool. It's a good feature with those little divots. It makes it way easier to build anything, in my opinion. And I usually like to go behind the screw, personally. Which I can usually get by the third try or so. There we go. I think the pliers might be a little helpful here. Just make it good and tight. There we go. And I'm making the other coil just the exact same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 3/4. Going to torch it. There's some bends. 1. Right about there, right? Yeah. Yeah. So they lighten up pretty good. We're just going to shape them just a little bit. Not a whole lot of work to be done. See, one coil's coming in a little bit lower than the other. Looks about right to me. It'll do. It'll do. Little rosies lighten up real nice. Awesome. Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and wick it. It's a really deep well. It's probably like a, I want to say it's 4 or 5 millimeters. But it is a really deep well, so plenty of room for all the cotton that you want, I'd say. Yeah, I'm excited to throw some different builds on this thing. I definitely want to try a chimney coil build. I want to try a horizontal build just to see how it compares. And I absolutely am nervous, but I'm curious to try a quad coil build on it. Doing the quad coil build, I think it would have to be built a little bit differently though. Those post holes are kind of, those post holes, they're kind of small. So what I'd probably have to do is do sort of a sleeper coil around each of these screws. I think it could be done. So sleeper coil on each side, vertical. I think it could be done. And then I'd have to figure out a way to tie off both of those leads onto that one screw. But I think it can be done. I think it's going to be a little challenging, but I think it can be done for sure. So I was vaping it with these two guys. Royalty Elixirs, the Duchess, and Nectar by Mercury. But I wanted to try something a little bit creamier, a little bit more savory in here. So I'm going to go with some Coil Fusion Snakebite. And yeah, these split wells are pretty cool. I like being able to mix the juices like that. That's kind of neat. And you can, you know, change out flavor as you go just to try and get it exactly right. It might make, you know, experimenting with mixing your juices a lot easier. I might use that a lot more than I think I will. But it also works really well with just one flavor. Really well with just one flavor. You'd think that would be difficult to drip through the top cap and be able to saturate both coils, being separated by this, you know, wall dog bone shape, but it really isn't. It's not difficult at all. It's a lot easier with this sort of wide bore tip. Anyway, I'll see you up there. So yeah, that's the Ology RDA from iHybrid Mods. It's pretty unique, as you can see. I'm really excited to have it, honestly. I didn't want to spend $100 on it, but when I saw that I could get it for $60 on the Vape Trader, I was like, hell yeah! And I'm stoked about it. I love it. Yeah, it is an awesome vape. It is super warm, super flavorful. I would say that it rivals the Marquis. It's definitely better than the Veritas. And I definitely would say that it rivals the Marquis, maybe even better than the Marquis. The build is not difficult at all. The flavor is amazing. And the clouds, I want to say the clouds are better than both the Marquis and the Veritas. I'm actually pretty impressed with the cloud production on this guy, considering it's a flavor RDA. I'm pretty impressed. I'm really impressed with this RDA. I like it a lot, and I'm a little bit confused as to why it hasn't gotten more play. I don't think there is a review on this thing on YouTube yet, and I think this thing came out in like September of last year, something like that. The only review I've ever seen on it is on ECF, and it's just a written review. That's it. That's the only review out there on this thing. It's very brief. So yeah, I might put up a few different build videos on this one. I'm definitely going to try a chimney coil. I really can't wait to try a chimney coil on this. Dual chimney coils, I think it's going to rock. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. And, you know, I think that a quad vertical coil might be possible in the sleeper coil. I'm going to try that too. I'm excited. But yeah, so far so good. I'm loving this thing. I'm bringing it to work today, and no part of me is worried about this thing, you know, leaking at all. No part of me is worried about it leaking. This guy is practically leak-proof. You have to really try to get this guy to leak. It's pretty well made, and just the way the airflow is designed, it's very leak resistant. Something iHybrid Mods knows their shit about. They know their shit about making their RDAs leak resistant. The Veritas never leaks, never. And I think this one's gonna be no different. Yeah, it's a great vape, great flavor, really warm. Really warm, warmer than the Veritas, warmer than the Marquis, and yeah, just an all-around awesome vape. Yeah, so I'm thrilled with this guy. Can't wait to play around with it some more, throw some more builds on here. Yeah. Till next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. Vape on, vapors.